Hi, I'm romance author Nancy Herkness, and I'm here with Writer Unedited number 100. That's almost 2 years of Writer Unedited, so that's pretty good. I sit at my writing desk. I talk about whatever's going on in my writing life, sometimes my personal life. And if you miss a Writer Unedited, I have them all up on my YouTube channel, so go check them out there. So let's see, a couple of things. I have free audio codes to give away for Royal Kaleva Raoul. If you would like to listen to him, just direct message me or email me and ask for a code, and you'll get it downloaded for free. If you happen to know somebody who you think would like to listen to Royal Kaleva Raoul, ask me for a code, because spreading the word is great for my books, so don't be shy about that. And speaking of things that are being given away, next Wednesday, I'm pretty sure. Is it Wednesday? Yes. The 19th. Yes, next Wednesday. I will be on the Word Wenches blog, and I will be giving away an autographed copy of Gabrielle. So don't miss that. I will be posting about it, of course, but I just wanted to let you know. Okay, so that's that stuff. Now, I want to talk about AI. Why am I talking about AI? Because it's a very hot topic in the creator community right now, both authors, musicians, artists. AI is creating interesting problems. I am not against AI. I just want to put that out there right now. I think it has some amazing uses, but it's also being misused. And I want to talk about that. And Gail, ask you a question. So Gail, here's my question for you. How do you feel about books written by AI? If you know a book is written by AI, would you buy it? So because I think there are some people who would not. The Authors Guild is now offering this certification that your book is human authored, and you register it with the Authors Guild, and you get a little badgy thing like this with the numbers, so each one's uniquely numbered. And for the first time, I did this with Raoul, so I put it on his title page. This is in print. If you write it in digital, you probably didn't notice this, although it is there. It's on the copyright page, right there. And in the print books, I even put it right here on the back cover. Because I want you to know that this book was written by a human being, entirely, from start to finish, by a human being. It is, frankly, it was also edited by human beings. Now, again, I'm not against AI for things like proofreading. I just happen to use human beings because, frankly, I trust them more. Gail says the books are usually the same. There are some on Facebook you can read, and no, not really interested in AI writing a story. Okay, very interesting. Because I was very surprised. I was talking to a friend of mine who's an author, and she had been to a workshop given by an author, a successful self-published author, who said in this workshop in public that she now comes up with a story premise, characters, what their conflicts are, I assume their name, maybe descriptions of them, and she feeds that into one of the AI programs, one of the big large language programs, and asks the AI to write the book. So the AI then spits out the book for her, and she edits it because it will need editing. I mean, I've used AI to do some little marketing blurbs and stuff out of curiosity, and it always needs editing. So she will edit it, and then she publishes the book, with her name on it. I guess her feeling is it's her idea, and she did the editing, and therefore, it's her book. And I don't disagree that it's her book, but I guess I was listening to this and going, that's a business model, certainly, but that's not why I became a writer. She's now essentially an editor, in my opinion. I became a writer because I care not just about the characters and the idea, but about the words that I use to bring those characters and ideas and conflicts to life. So, and I guess what I was really surprised by is that she admitted this publicly. So, you know, that's her jam. But I will say that in the past, and I haven't done this in a little while because I haven't seen one, where I remember the New York Times today, side-by-side prompt exercise where they gave the same story prompt to AI and to a human author and asked them to write a short story, a very short story, based on the same, you know, this is the situation, these are the characters, write me a story. And it then put them up side by side, and you had to guess which one was by the human and which one was by AI. And I have to say that I had no problem figuring out which one was written by the human. And it's not that there was anything wrong with the AI story. It was just not original or fresh or interesting. It was, you know, it had a lot of cliches in it. It was very predictable. It had nothing sort of quirky or unusual or voicey about it. Whereas the human authored one, you know, just went off in new directions and was much more interesting and emotionally, you know, compelling, I guess. So, but to be fair, AI gets better all the time. And I have not tried that again in a while. So it'd be interesting to see what would happen if I did. So that's sort of one aspect of AI is you know, authors are using it to write books now. And I guess I don't get it. Another thing that a lot of people are talking about. So Gail says, I'll stick with the human author. Thank you very much. Gail, this human author very much appreciates that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So the other thing that everybody's talking about in the author world is what is referred to in shorthand as the Anthropic case. Have you heard of the Anthropic case? Lynn, hi. Nice to have you here. I'm talking about AI. Because it's a very hot topic in the author community. So I thought I'd bring you in on some of the background stuff. So the Anthropic case is a big thing right now because it's one of the largest copyright settlements involving AI. Anthropic is a company, it's a private company, but it has some of its major investors are Google and Amazon. And it created the AI called Claude. I'm sure you've heard of Claude, Claude, which is a large language model. And in 2024, 3 authors, and I'll read you their names because I think it's interesting. Andrea Bartz, who's a thriller author, and then 2 nonfiction authors, Charles Graeber and Kirk Wallace Johnson, filed suit against Anthropic for copyright infringement. Kim says, I don't understand. Why be an author if you use AI? I guess that's a little bit the way I feel, Kim. I mean, you know, the author is generating the story idea and the characters, but I'll be honest, in a way, that's the easy part. You know, the challenging part is using the words to bring that to life, to me. So I kind of agree. So, okay, back to Anthropic. So they have agreed that they did not get found guilty because they decided to settle the case without having it go to trial. And what they did is they said they would pay a total of $1.5 billion to the, let's see, I was trying to find out, I think it says an estimated 500,000 books. I thought it was more like 7 million books, but I seem to have 2 different ideas in my head about that. It's going to pay, for each book, the author will get about $3,000, which is split, by the way, between the author and their publisher. So the author doesn't really get that much. Okay, Peanut Gallery. Gail says, from the Peanut Gallery, if you read the book and you can tell it was written by an AI, then what's the point? Well, good question. And I guess the issue is that AI is getting better and better, and at some point you may not be able to tell the difference, which is interesting. My comment on that is AI is not an originator. Yes, it can learn, but it's taking all the stuff that you've fed into it and it's essentially regurgitating it maybe in a different order, put together in a slightly different way. But it's not going to come up with new ideas that way, as far as writing fiction goes, at any rate. And I'm sure you've heard about AI hallucinating. When you ask it a question that's a factual question, that it will actually make stuff up. That's wrong. The most famous one that I've heard about recently was a newspaper out in the Midwest. Someone got assigned to come up with a column listing I think it was 15 most anticipated books of the summer. And so they decided to ask AI to come up with the 15 most anticipated books of the summer. And it spit out a list, and there were, I think, about 5 books were real books that were really coming out in the summer. And I think the other 10, or maybe not quite that many, but a lot of them, were books that did not exist, that had real authors' names on them, but the titles were not titles that the authors had ever written, and the story ideas were not story ideas that the authors had ever written a book about. So AI had literally just made them up, and evidently nobody fact-checked it. It got published, which is really embarrassing for the newspaper. So AI they call it hallucinating. It just makes stuff up. I guess if it can't answer your question, it's like, well, I need to tell you something, so I'll just come up with something like that. Kim says, AI doesn't have the emotional elements. Well, right, because it can't feel, of course. So you're right, it doesn't. Okay, so Anthropic. So Anthropic's going to pay authors about $3,000 each for the estimated 500,000 books covered by this settlement. They also have to destroy the pirated files. So it's interesting. So these 3 authors filed this suit, and it said that Anthropic used the contents of millions of digitized, and I saw the number 7 million actually, copyrighted books to train the large language models behind their chatbot Claude, including at least 2 works by each plaintiff. So those 3 authors filed a suit on behalf of all authors whose books were used for this. And it's interesting because what the judge decided in this was that, in fact, and I'm not sure I agree with this, but in fact, these AI companies do have the right to use our books to train their models, as long as they buy the books legitimately and pay me, the author, the $5.99 that my book costs, my digital book costs or whatever, then that's okay. But what Anthropic did, and they have proof of this from internal memos, is they used pirated books. Anthropic used books that were downloaded from known pirate websites, so they knew that the authors were not getting paid for these books that they were using. And that's what they're paying the damages for. So if you hear people talking about Anthropic, that's the deal on that. They used pirated books to train their AI, and that's what they're getting dinged for. So it may sound like $1.5 billion is a lot of money, but in fact, the Copyright Office says that when your book is stolen, you can be entitled to up to $150,000 worth of damages. $150,000 a book. So Anthropic decided to settle rather than going to trial because they could have had to pay up to $1 trillion, and that would have obviously wiped the company out. On the other hand, I just want to let you know that this $1.5 billion settlement, which sounds so great or sounds so huge, is not going to cause Anthropic much pain because they just completed a new round of funding worth $13 billion, bringing the total value of the company to $183 billion. So this is a drop in the bucket for them. The good thing is it opens the door for other lawsuits, and there are other lawsuits filed against others of these AI companies that have used stolen materials. Musicians, artists, they've used stolen materials from all of these people. So of my books, they used 12 that were protected by copyright. Your book had to be copyrighted with the U.S. It had to be registered with the U.S. Copyright Office. Books are automatically copyrighted, but you are not eligible for damages if you don't actually register them with the Copyright Office. And these are what this money that we're getting is considered damages. And as I said, keep in mind that the money is being split between the author and the publisher. And it's interesting, the original list of books of mine that were used, there were 15 of them, a couple of which were even translations. But because those books were not actually registered with the Copyright Office, those extra 3 books, I guess it was, they're not eligible for the settlement because the settlement's damages. So if you hear people talking, particularly the authors talking about the Anthropic settlement, that's it. We won't be getting the money until next year sometime. And what I hope will happen with this is that authors will, instead of having our work just stolen or even just bought and used, that it will have to be licensed, that the AI companies will license our work to use to load, into their stuff. Because here's the problem. I was talking to you about books written by AI. So now that they have 12 of my books loaded into their large language model, you could go to it and say, will you please write me a book in the style of Nancy Herkness using the characters from The CEO Buys In, because that was one of the books they stole, and, make it a romance, and I don't know, you could probably tell the situation you want to put them in or something. And then it will write you a book for free, right? So obviously, I will not get compensated for that. And I will tell you right now that writers don't get compensated a lot to begin with, as I'm sure you know. So it could make it hard for writers to continue to write, honestly. Even worse, and this would really make me mad, is if some scammer, of which there are many, and I'm going to talk about those in a minute too, said, write me a book in the style of Nancy Herkness with the characters from The CEO Buys In, make it a romance, blah, blah, blah. And then they sell it as, in the style of Nancy Herkness. Or if you love Nancy Herkness and CEO Buys In, you'll love this book because it's written, with the same characters or something. It essentially, I guess you could sort of call it fan fiction, but someone would be selling it, and that would just be wrong and illegal and all sorts of unethical. So that's the Anthropic case that you may hear talked about a lot. And yes, I have 12 books that were pirated and used. So depressing. The other thing that AI has done is it has loaded up writers' inboxes, and this may be true for musicians and artists too, with scam emails trying to get us to pay them to market our books. And this is the interesting part about it. These emails are really good. I'm going to read you 2 of them that I got just today. I get at least 10 of these a day, probably more, because I just now delete them without even reading them. But the first couple of times I was like, wow, this person read my book. This is so cool. So anyway, let me read you this one. Dear Nancy Herkness, I'm reaching out on behalf of PBS Book Readers Club. So PBS, the TV station. So you're thinking, ooh, cool. A community of readers and reviewers who celebrate captivating stories that explore love, courage, and emotional depth. Here's where it gets good. Your moving novel, Royal Kaleva Raoul, immediately caught our attention. With its beautifully crafted forbidden romance, emotional complexity, and richly developed characters, your story captures everything readers adore about royal love stories, the tension between duty and desire, and the triumph of passion over circumstance. Raoul and Erica's journey is both powerful and deeply human, a testament to healing, sacrifice, and the transformative nature of love. For our November 2025 Romance Spotlight, we would be honored to feature Royal Kaleva Raoul as one of our highlighted titles. And then it goes on from there and says this is what you'll get. And it doesn't mention money until you write them back and say, oh, this sounds interesting, how do we go forward? And then they charge you a lot of money. So here's another one. So that was a book club. This one is, hello, Nancy Herkness. I'm Delphine, a publicist who helps authors turn engaged reading groups into lasting readers, blah, blah, blah. I read the description of Royal Kaleva Raoul, and I kept picturing book club nights where readers gasp at the dragon nest twist argue over royal duty, and quietly cheer when two very different people choose each other. Raoul's exhaustion and Erica's steady competence create a tender, believable chemistry that invites the exact kind of emotional conversation clubs love. And then I also like the part that they got this, where is it? Royal Kaleva offers all of that. A prince who must learn to care for himself and his kingdom, a courageous guide who knows how to navigate danger, and an eco-minded thread about protecting the wild that gives meetings a major, meaningful topic beyond romance. This is a story that balances heart, hazard, and stewardship. So they even got in the eco angle, which is kind of impressive. So these are generated by AI. And as I said, we get inundated with them. And now everybody's smart enough to know that they're garbage and they delete them. But I know a couple of authors who lost several $100s each because these people talk such a good game and they sent them their money and they got nothing for it. So it's a scam. And the scammers are using AI. I assume what they're doing is feeding the description of the book, the blurb that's on the Amazon page, into AI and saying, write this letter for me. So, those are some of the implications of AI for authors these days. I thought you guys might be interested in that. And, you may have to start, I don't know if this is going to catch on, but you may have to start looking for this human authored seal on books to know if they're written by real people. Does anybody have comments on that, on AI? I'd love to hear it from what folks are sort of speaking up about it. And it's very, oops, I just moved to the comments to where I can't find them. Tell me about it. Tell me, would you read? So a couple of people have answered this, but how do you feel about AI? Okay, so let's talk about sale books. There are a lot of them this month. And it gets confusing because they're on sale on all different dates. So all month long on sale, the CEO, and these are on Kindle, of course, the CEO buys in is $1.99 on Kindle. The All-Star Annie's Up is $2.49 on Kindle. And the VIP Doubles Down is $2.49 on Kindle. So those are all three of the novels in the Wager of Hearts series. And then also on sale for the whole month is Second Time Around, which is the first full-length novel in the Second Glances series. And it's on sale for $1.99 on Kindle. Okay, here's where it gets confusing. Because the books, all three books in the Consultant series are on sale, but not all at the same time. So let's start with The Agent, which is actually the third book in the Consultant series. It's on sale today only. It's a Kindle deal of the day for, where is it? $2.49, The Agent. So you can grab it today only on sale. Then on sale starting on the 17th of this month through the end of the month, The Money Man, which is the first book in the Consultant series, will be on sale for $2.49 on Kindle. And The Hacker, which is the middle book in the Consultant series, is on sale all month for $2.49 on Kindle. So you can collect all of the Consultants books on sale this month, but you have to buy The Agent today to get it on sale because it goes off sale tomorrow. And finally on sale, I just found out, is Royal Kaleva Gabrielle on audio. And it's 50% off, which means it's $12.50 until December 1st. And I was very happy because I recently heard from a reader that she really loves the narrator for the Royal Kaleva series. His name's Nick Mills, and I have requested that he do all the books, and he's been able to do them all so far. So, so if you like listening to your books, you can grab Gabrielle for 50% off to listen to. Okay, let's see what people are commenting. Gail says, haven't dealt with books, but I argued with the AIs yesterday. Okay, you have to tell me what AIs you were arguing with, Gail. That sounds intriguing. Michelle says, this is very interesting. Thank you. You're welcome. I mean, I worry that it's only interesting to writers, but I figure you may hear writers talking about it. And AI is a very hot topic right now. Very hot topic. And, of course, part of the problem happens a lot with technology. The technology has outpaced the legal structure to control it. It's suddenly sort of taken an exponential leap to the next level, and our legislation hasn't caught up with it. Our laws haven't caught up with it. So everybody's kind of feeling their way along. However, I will say Anthropic certainly knew that it was using pirated books. I mean, that's why they had to pay out the settlement, because they have internal documents showing that they knew they were using pirated books, and that's never ethical. Okay, I mean, stealing books is never ethical. I don't care whether you're AI or a reader. It's a bad thing to do, because what you're doing is making it hard for your favorite authors to continue to write, because they need to get paid. Let's see. Gail says a medical testing company, a healthcare company, and lots of AIs. Who boy is right? Yeah, I've noticed we're getting more and more of that too. And I just, I don't know. I mean, we're already not talking to humans, right? We were talking to recordings a lot. So maybe AI will get better. I mean, it is getting better. It's better all the time. But I worry about what the consequences are going to be to creative people, because musicians and artists are having exactly the same problems that writers are. That, it's their work is being used to train the AI, and then people say, oh, write me a song in the style of Taylor Swift, like her song, The Fate of Ophelia, and then she doesn't get compensated for it. And granted, Taylor Swift doesn't need our money, but there are plenty of musicians who do, desperately, and plenty of artists who do, desperately. So, it's, and I'm not being mercenary, I'm just being realistic. Writing is time consuming and has its own costs as well, particularly if you're self-publishing like I do now. I pay for cover design, I pay for editing, I pay for a lot of marketing stuff, and if people are rating books and selling them under my name and their AI, I won't be able to afford to do those things. So not to be a downer, so it snowed here for the first time yesterday. Didn't stick. It was just like snow flurries. Did anyone else get snow? And it suddenly got cold too, which we're just not. I just wasn't quite ready for, to be honest. I guess I should tell you, Mikkel's book is still going forward, still progressing. I'm back in the saddle. I'm reading that. Had critique group on Monday, and they had some really interesting, helpful things to say about the pages that they read. Got my brain sort of going in a new direction on a couple of things, which is always exciting. I like it when I come back from critique group energized to make changes that will improve the book, which is, of course, why I have a critique group, because that's what they're really good at. And let's see. Lynn says, AI could destroy characters in a series. Yeah, right? Because if you said, like I said with the CEO buys in, write a book with those characters, and AI can do whatever it wants to, and that would be bad. So do any of you read fan fiction? Because I think that's always been a concern with fan fiction, right? That it takes the characters and then sort of goes off in directions that perhaps the author is not comfortable with. But on the other hand, people don't sell that as anything but fan fiction. Although I have always heard that 50 Shades of Grey, which was originally Twilight fan fiction, and she rewrote it and took the vampire element out of it and turned it into 50 Shades of Grey. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. So that's about it. I don't have any more things more to say. Anybody have a question for me? Type it in really fast. No questions? Okay. Sorry, I got kind of heavy tonight, but the Anthropic thing has been on my mind, and people, have asked me questions. You know, non-authors have asked me questions and, you know, haven't really understood what was going on with it. So I thought I would explain. And now I will be here next week at the usual time of 2 p.m. I had book club today, which was a lot of fun. And that's it. So thank you all for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Thank you for weighing in on the AI question. If you have more thoughts on it, please add to the comments later because I'm really curious about what you think about it. And I will see you next week at 2. Take care. Oh, Gail says, love the pics of the wedding. Thanks for checking. Oh, you're so welcome. It's so fun to share them because then I get to relive it too. There are more. I'm going to post some more. We don't have, you know, the sort of official wedding pictures yet, although the photographer very nicely sent us a few early ones, so I may share some of those. But they're not like touched up and they're just sort of random selection. I was hoping to get some with, you know, me and the bride, but those haven't come through yet. But when they do, I'll post them. But I'm so glad you're enjoying them because it's been fun to share them with you. Alrighty, you guys be good. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.